Amaka, a young woman in her late 20s, was struggling as a roadside food seller in a shop across the road. Despite her efforts, she struggled to make enough sales each day. Her jollof rice often went unsold, leaving her feeling discouraged. It seemed that she was only experiencing losses in her new business venture. Her neighbor, Betty, was an experienced food seller who had already established a loyal customer base. Betty's success was evident in the brand new car she used to transport her food, while Amaka struggled to attract customers. Feeling defeated, Amaka longed to surpass Betty and gain the same level of success and respect. In a conversation with a friend, Amaka poured out her frustrations about her struggling business. Her friend, Christabel, offered words of encouragement and real advice. She urged Amaka to have patience and work on improving her cooking skills. Christabel suggested that Amaka try selling her food in the market while carrying it on her head, a tactic that could attract new customers. Christabel reassured Amaka that with time and dedication, she would eventually find success in her business. Amaka, fueled by her stubbornness and desperation to achieve a massive customer base, dismissed Christabel's advice. "Who knows if this one is afraid that I might be more successful than her?" Amaka muttered to herself. Ignoring the wise counsel, she saw Christabel's words as a hindrance to her ambitions rather than a guiding light. On her way home, a signpost caught Amaka's attention, bearing the bold message, "Call this number for any spiritual help. The Great Serpent is here for you." Interested and driven by her eagerness to succeed at any cost, Amaka immediately stored the number and dialed it, as she was instructed to come to a shrine situated in a deep forest along a small village. With her mind set and determined, Amaka embarked on the journey towards the mysterious shrine, confident to tread the promised path to success, regardless of the scary surroundings that lay ahead. As Amaka walked deeper into the scary forest, she humbly removed her slippers before entering the shrine, where she was met by an elderly man with snakes hung around his neck. Inviting her to sit, the native doctor declared, "Welcome, my dear daughter. The Great Serpent eagerly anticipates your presence here today. What has led you to seek our help?" The scary man inquired, as Amaka poured out her desires to him. "I long to establish dominance in the market, to attract a large customer base, and if possible, drive my competitors out of business. I am prepared to go to great lengths to achieve these goals," Amaka boldly declared. Impressed by her determination, the native doctor assured her, "The God of the Great Serpent will heed your wishes, but there are challenging tasks you must undertake to realize them. If you are not ready, it is best to reconsider, for this path offers no second chances." Fearless, Amaka committed to whatever trials lay ahead to fulfill her ambitious aspirations. "You are tasked with invoking a spirit. Travel to the mortuary and retrieve the body of a recently deceased man. I will provide you with a sacred substance to anoint his body, summoning his ghost to engage in intimacy with you. Afterward, you must cleanse his body with water and return here with the water collected from his corpse. A ritual will then be performed using this water, and your desires shall be granted," explained the native doctor, instilling a sense of fear in Amaka. She realized there was no turning back from the perilous journey she had embarked upon. "Could I perhaps undertake a less challenging task, if it pleases you?" Amaka pleaded, but the native doctor strongly refused her request. "Many others seeking the blessings of the Great Serpent have faced far greater tasks than you. You must complete this task within the next 2 days, or face the consequences of your failure," the native doctor added, handing a mysterious substance wrapped in red cloth to a trembling Amaka, who reluctantly accepted it. Filled with fear, Amaka embarked on her journey to the mortuary the following day to fulfill her task. Despite visiting numerous mortuaries in the city, she was left tired and disheartened as none of the mortuary attendants were willing to bring out a recently deceased man for her to spend the night with, despite her offering them a significant sum of money. Feeling exhausted and aware that time was not on her side, Amaka realized that she had already used up one of the 2 days given to her by the native doctor to complete the task, with no progress to show for it. Upon returning home, she prepared herself to set out again the next day. Early in the morning, Amaka woke up, quickly prepared herself, and set out on her journey. She had decided to visit the neighboring city to see if she could complete the task. Roaming throughout the city of Port Harcourt, Amaka was yet unsuccessful. Fear was evident on her face, and she was losing her patience. What have I gotten myself into? If I don't complete this task, this god of serpent might end my life, Amaka said as she continued her search. Just as her hope was about to wane, Amaka saw an ambulance parked in front of a mortuary with people crying around it. She moved closer to find out what was happening. Why do you have to leave us now? Please come back, one of the crying ladies said. It was obvious that she had lost her newly wedded husband and hadn't been able to give him a child. Amaka waited patiently for them to leave before going into the mortuary. As they tearfully left, she entered the mortuary and approached the mortuary attendant. Please, can you help me out? I need to spend time with the man who was brought here not long ago. I'm ready to pay any amount of money for that. Just name your price, Amaka told the mortuary attendant. The young guy, in need of money and seeing this opportunity to make some quick cash, couldn't resist it. Omo, people day wet in this fine girl wine gain from sleeping with a dead man. She for come to me nah, the mortuary attendant said to himself as he went into the mortuary and brought out the corpse. He placed it in an empty room beside the mortuary and asked Amaka to go inside and do what she wanted with it. Amaka quickly entered the room and applied the substance the native doctor had given her to the man's body, causing his ghost to appear before her. Despite her fear, Amaka knew she couldn't back down from completing the task at hand. The ghost approached her and started to engage in intimacy with her. Once the ghost had finished, it smiled to itself and returned to its lifeless body. Amaka proceeded to take out a water can and a small towel from her bag. She carefully wiped the corpse with the towel, then squeezed out the water back into the can. Finally, my task is done. Let's see if Betty can outsell me now. Amaka muttered to herself as she left the room and made her way to the mortuary attendant. She paid him the agreed amount of money, then departed, making her way to the native doctor's shrine to complete the ritual. At the native doctor's shrine, Amaka handed the water to him, and he proceeded to add some powdered substance into it. You should use this water to cook. Just add a drop of it to your jollof rice, and you will see a significant increase in your sales. Anyone who eats from your shop will unknowingly lose their destiny. This will ensure that you sell more and more, the native doctor informed Amaka, who couldn't contain her excitement, smiling from ear to ear. Amaka gratefully accepted the water and left the shrine, eager to try out the powerful potion and see the promised results in her business. The following day, following the instructions of the native doctor, she added a drop of the water to her jollof rice. Taking her food to the market, Amaka was prepared to show Betty what she has got. Betty was shocked as her customers flocked to Amaka's shop, forming a long line just to buy food from her. Some went as far as washing the plates for her, eager to be served first. Throughout the day, Betty didn't make a single sale. She was surprised and confused by the sudden turn of events. This pattern persisted for weeks, eventually leading Betty to close down her food business. Amaka was overjoyed and shared the good news with Christabel. My God has done it for me, Amaka said. Christabel shared in Amaka's happiness, congratulating her on her remarkable achievement. One early morning, Amaka felt sick. Her constant vomiting added to her worries. She was unable to cook that day because of tiredness. Not wasting time, she set out to the hospital where the doctor ran a quick test on her, informing her that she was 3 weeks pregnant. Amaka couldn't understand what was happening. Doctor, I haven't slept with any man before, Amaka said. Amaka knew she had a difficult choice to make. The native doctor's new plan seemed scary and wrong, but she felt trapped by her situation. Maybe this is the only way to fix things, she thought with a heavy heart. Amaka didn't want anyone to suffer because of her problems, but she also wanted to free herself from the ghost and the unwanted pregnancy. The next day, Amaka took the special soap from the native doctor and went to find a young man named Chidi, who had liked her for a long time. Chidi was always friendly and helpful, and he seemed to really care about her. Feeling guilty but desperate, Amaka invited him to dinner at her house. During dinner, Amaka explained her situation to Chedi. She told him everything except the part about the soap and its dreadful effect. Chedi listened quietly, his face full of concern. After a long pause, he finally spoke. Amaka, this sounds very dangerous and sad. But remember, hurting others to fix our own problems can make things worse. Maybe there's another way to solve this without causing harm. Amaka was touched by Chedi's kindness and wisdom. She realized that she had been so focused on her own fears that she hadn't considered the consequences of her actions on others. You're right, Chedi. I can't do this to you or anyone else. I need to find a better way, Amaka said, feeling a mix of relief and renewed fear. The following morning, Amaka returned to the native doctor with the unused soap. I cannot use this. I won't hire another person to fix my problems, she declared bravely. The native doctor looked at her for a long moment and then nodded slowly. You have chosen a difficult path, but perhaps a wiser one. Let's think of another solution. Amaka and the native doctor talked for hours. Finally, they came up with a new plan. The native doctor would perform a cleansing ritual to sever the connection between Amaka and the ghost without harming anyone else. However, this means you will carry this child to term, and you must give up the magic that increased your sales. You need to be ready to face these challenges, he warned. Amaka agreed, feeling a strange mix of fear and peace. She was ready to face whatever came her way if it meant doing the right thing. The ritual was intense and scary, but when it was over, Amaka felt lighter, as if a huge burden had been lifted from her shoulders. Months later, Amaka gave birth to a healthy baby boy. She named him Hope, reminding her of the hope that had guided her through her darkest times. Amaka decided to restart her food business, but this time she focused on being honest and making delicious food without any tricks. Her old customers slowly started returning, drawn by her sincere efforts and tasty dishes. Betty, seeing the change in Amaka, decided to reopen her food shop too. The two women talked and cleared their misunderstandings, eventually becoming good friends and supporting each other's businesses. Life was not easy, but Amaka found happiness in her work and her son. People in the market came to know her story and admired her for her courage and integrity. Amaka learned that success is sweeter when it's earned through hard work and honesty, and she taught Hope the same values as he grew up. One sunny morning, as Amaka watched Hope play, she realized that no matter how hard the past had been, the future held endless possibilities, and with a heart full of hope and hands ready to work hard, she was ready to meet it with a smile. As time passed, Amaka's food stall became more than just a place to eat. It turned into a community hub where people shared stories and supported each other. Hope grew up around the market, playing with the other children and learning from the kind folks around. Amaka made sure her son understood the value of kindness and hard work, telling him stories of her own struggles and the lessons she had learned. One day, as Amaka was preparing her stall for the day, an old man came to buy her famous jollof rice. He had a gentle smile and a way of speaking that made everyone around him listen carefully. After eating, he complimented Amaka on her food and asked her about her life. As Amaka shared her story, the old man listened intently, nodding along and occasionally offering words of wisdom. You have done well to overcome so much, Amaka, the old man said. But remember, the most important ingredients in any dish are love and integrity. Keep adding those, and your food will always be special. Amaka smiled, realizing that these were the same values she was trying to instill in Hope. Inspired by the old man's words, she decided to start a cooking class right at her stall for the local children. She wanted to pass on her skills and the lessons of resilience and honesty to the next generation. The cooking classes were a hit. Children from all over the market came to learn how to cook and to hear Amaka's stories. They loved trying out different recipes and took pride in bringing home food they had made themselves. Parents were thrilled to see their children engaged and learning valuable life skills. Hope was always there too, helping his mom set up and teaching the younger kids what he had learned from her. He became a role model for the other children, showing them how to be fair and kind. Years went by, and Amaka's simple food stall grew into a small but popular eatery in the market. Her reputation for fairness and delicious food brought her customers from even the farther parts of the city. Betty and Amaka often collaborated on big orders, truly embodying the spirit of community and mutual support.